Alright, everybody, hello, and good morning, afternoon, whatever it is, etc. Let's continue on with this whole thing. Alright, so next thing that we're going to need to put together here, we've got our extra early gear here. This hauberk in particular will more or less carry the early game. If you end up going in with just leathers for the early part, you actually don't get access to the hauberk until you're done with the little northern bit up here, so that ends up being a pretty big benefit. Since, again, you're not supposed to have it yet. So, alright, first things first. Did I already do his skills? Yes. Okay, so we're all good to go there. I didn't strip down these two, I don't believe. So we're going to go ahead and take away their stuff. We're going to go ahead and take away their skills. Since going forward, aside from ones that we don't have any control over, there's essentially going to be no AI units allowed. They're just there to basically take hits, and that's about it. So we'll see how that goes over time. Now for Orba here, we're more or less just going to let everybody run forward here, just kind of call it good on their day in particular. Because again, even though we can keep Vice around, I don't want to get any extra levels going forward. So I want to have just a very certain amount. So these three are just going to charge up. Yes, Canopus is going to die in the first fight again. This is intentional. So it's just kind of how it goes. It sucks, but we'll be back to pick him up 2 timelines from now. Yeah, it's it's a little bit of a ways back, so don't worry about it. We'll pick him up. You basically have to have Canopus, you have to have Vice, you have to have Cashoy, and you have to have the 2 White Knights. So you'll notice that yeah, we're actually going to be going. I was mentioning earlier, we'll be going neutral route here. And yeah, exactly as it sounds, we're going to be in a situation where we actually have 0 chance to even get the entire Coda unlocking party on that first run. But and this is actually something that I meant to cover more of last time. Each route has very particular things that you can pick up depending on how you're doing things. Also, I don't know why I'm repeatedly going through the menu here, but whatever. All I really want to do is run up and finish everybody off here with Denim. For the time being, we're not going to try to get too fancy with these fights. I mostly just want to run up and hit the boss twice and call it good. As far as, trying to get stats and everything else, we'll worry about that later. There's far better opportunities. This is not that time. Because although we have a higher level, and we might be able to fight off some things, his health isn't really high enough to try to take on the entire map at once. So we'll see about when we get to it. If we can take out the archer, if we can injure the boss, then I'll see about fighting everybody else. But for the time being, it doesn't make sense to even try. So, what I was meaning to cover last time is the kinds of different things you can get along different routes. Because one thing I guarantee will have come up by now is why didn't you go with axes, or why didn't you go with hammers for the kind of main weapon of choice there? And simply put, it's just because of the fact that it doesn't really... there's no good way to get a elemental option for one of those early on. So, what I mean by that, for example, if you're running spear or something like that, you want to get a nice fancy spear early on, you level up Dragoons, you end up picking up Yunin, and there you go. You suddenly have your full worm scale set. Sometimes he just comes in with Balder and a worm scale helm. But either way, you get your elemental spear, you get your really nice armor. That's really all you need. But yeah, overall, the spears aren't really something that's going to work for this one. So these AIs, by the way, they're going to keep going for all of the unarmored units around here. So we've got a couple turns. I'm going to use that time to take out this guy, and then go and start working on the archers. So, since the boss is over here, just in case I have to make a Hail Mary run to go squash him, I'm going to go take this route right here. They're going to finish off Canopus in a couple of rounds. Probably the archers will be the one to finish the job, but we'll see. Anyway, so going on about... don't bind. Good. Good. Yeah, bind here would be really, really bad, but... Anyway, so I keep starting this dang sentence, and I keep getting interrupted by stuff, so... if going for axes, there was one time that I was considering going for a double attack axe build, which was really good potentially, but unfortunately it relied on luck. So that particular one was heavy axe, powered armor, gloves, and then just trying to go for the luck bonus off of the initial starting necklace and those gloves. which gave them a really good crit chance, which meant that if you could corner somebody, like, say you got somebody in this spot right here, or corner someone over here, which, by the way, in a solo run, you definitely consider this stuff a lot more, in terms of, like, little edges that'll prevent somebody from being knocked back. But then you end up doing double strike, you end up getting double crits off that. That's some of the most insane damage that you can get. That being said, well, that wasn't the way to go. Simply put, it was the only way to do that early on was to pick up Zapan, and to actually save him in a solo run is ridiculous. Like the only way I could figure out how to do it was essentially to go all the way up to post game, then essentially come in with all kinds of extra gear, but then also specifically show up slightly under geared in order to make sure that they don't end up focusing on him. And even then, it relied on, well, more or less them fluking several 80% rolls in a row. So I tried. That route was just impractically annoying, and definitely not worth it, just because it was just relying on RNG. Like, it could be amazing, but it really, really was just more annoying than anything else. So I wasn't about to go do that. As far as hammers go, again, no real good option as far as those go. The only way would be to somehow get a hold of a Knight's Mark before... well, actually, not somehow. You can get a Knight's Mark before you end up going into Krysaro. But the thing is, that would require grinding a Knight using normal hammers all the way up to what was it? I think it was a 29, or probably 28 actually. I think it was 28 for how much we'd have to sit there and grind. And the problem is, yes, that would result in a really, really good build that would more or less just squash heavy builds entirely. But another thing to consider there is that there's no real convenient way to level up proficiencies with all that time. See, once you get to endgame, like, in order to even make it past level 10, we need to get to the point of being able to, essentially being able to outfight things of the same level, in bulk. So that's just something that's already going to be a challenge on its own. So that being unlikely, we essentially needed to also rely on augments and rely on parries. So in order to get parries, you have to make it up to 12. In order to make it up to 12, you need to be able to you need to kind of just rely on the story battles not scaling for a while. So yeah, that's more or less like the goal for Chapter 1 is to get maximum weapon proficiency and to start on parry. By the end of Chapter 3, parry has to be almost maxed out. 6 is acceptable, but still, you want to ideally have it almost maxed out. And to give you an idea of how we're going on proficiencies here, we're going to get about 20-ish% off of the first fight here. They don't have any healing, so there's no real way to cheese it. We can get up to rank 2 in Krysaro, though, because we can more or less completely ignore their ranged options entirely and just kind of sit there and heal. But bear in mind that at any point, if they start doing more than 50 combined for the entire team, well, we have no way of moving forward at that point. This is what I was talking about last time, with there being a lot of potential points for soft blocking, because if there's any point at which you simply don't have the healing that you need to keep going, like, that's just it. That is your run, because if you haven't gotten parry ranked up, if you haven't gotten proficiency maxed out, and eventually down the road, if you haven't gotten augments at least started, it's just going to be a complete no-go. You're going to wind up in a position where there's just no real way to progress, because you can't go to a random battle, because you can't outfight those guys. Even Tynmouth. Like, the reason the Tynmouth is selected is because they never really get past 2 skills there. They only have their, like, sometimes they have counter, so, they have their casting move, but aside from that, all they have is just their weapon proficiency. So they're never going to really have parry there. They're never really going to have anything scary. So yeah, even when over-leveled, it can be pretty dang easy there. So going down the list here, Augment Air is the first one that we're really going to go for, because essentially the very first finisher is air-based, and it is the single hardest hitting move that we're going to have available to us for the most part. Once we hit rank 8, we're going to pick up Augment Light. It's the best AoE kind of finisher type thing, but it's mostly used for extra range. But those two are the best ones in terms of actual damage. Might pick up Aug Lightning if we end up with a lightning weapon later, just for convenience, but it's fairly unlikely. Usually the Usually the shackling move, Thunder Beast, is only used for sniping units that you can't really get to, which is really one of the problems with this run. But yeah, we'll pick up Stone Ward later. Stone is an absolute death sentence in this one. Stun Ward we shouldn't need because we're going to stick to the starting necklace up until we get the Fire Crest. Fear Ward's not really going to help us much. Slow Ward, just kind of got to push through it. And, actually, one thing I was excited for is there was a reroute that I did a couple days ago here that fixed a lot of things. Because I was talking to somebody over on the One Vision Discord there, and yet it occurred to me that for whatever reason I never considered routing in White Knights. I'm not really sure why. I think they didn't have... No, I think they did have two-handers in the original. But it just never really occurred to me to even consider using them. But they basically had everything that was making a lot of the post-game, like, frustrating. So there was a lot of slow flying around because there's a lot of units with axes. So it dealt with that. There's a lot of units throwing around Dispel to get rid of the Light Augment and the and Strengthen. It's got a free move for that. Hang on, let me just double-check one more time here because I thought there was something I forgot. No, I think we're good. I think we're good to go. Because there really shouldn't be any skills that I need to pick up at this point. Right. I hope... I feel like there was something that I need to pick up, so I apologize for the kind of back and forth here. It's weird getting back into talking and recording at the same time after doing all this post-commentary stuff. It's weird, man! Anyhow, so... Okay, by the way, I just want to point out, you can kind of see what I was talking about for proficiency seemingly scaling with how much damage you do. Because with those last few hits, it went up by about 4%, whereas everything before that was doing about 1 to 2. Maybe it's kills that get a couple extra percent, I'm not sure. Anyway. So, this one's going to be a complete curb stomp, as you can imagine. While we do have an... Well, actually, only temporarily. While we do have an advantage, it should be noted that, yeah, they can still do a pretty solid number. This whole advantage situation won't really last, though. Just because, well, it's OV. Once they get to about level 7, it makes far less of a difference. Like, at one point in this run, we're going to be running multiple classes with about a 13 level advantage. And even then, they're just going to have a hard time getting through certain maps. So, sorry for the cough there. Can't really do much about it. Winter has finally come, and it has come with extreme dryness, as it usually does. Bit frustrating, but what can you do, right? It's alright. Let me just double-check what we actually have on hand here. I should have picked up some plumes. Don't have any, but we should be fine. So I'm going to mostly ignore these guys. Going to go down to fight the ones down at the bottom. Even though we're going for proficiency, I don't really expect to get it up too much here. We'll just see how it all plays out. Like, okay, we know that guy doesn't. That guy probably won't be doing a whole lot of damage. Probably going to be looking at maybe 10 or so from him. So thankfully that one's pretty decent. Looks like, yeah, it looks like we can expect to see some pretty weak stuff coming out of the skeletons here. Vice is a really good radar in terms of incoming damage for the first chapter, just because he'll give you an idea of a worst-case scenario coming out of everyone. And a big part of this run is just being able to identify where all the threats are early, and just trying to figure out some way to deal with them as early as possible. So whether you need to run up and shut them down, like one strategy later on will simply be to turn on Tac 2, run up taking a whole bunch of hits and try and become as fast as possible, and then just throwing a Thunder Beast on whatever needs to be hit. So that kind of stuff will be, will be a thing. I didn't mean to actually say with him there, but that's fine. So either way, this will vary from fight to fight. Some of the more random ones, it'll vary depending on who spawned in. But yeah, he's got really good dodge odds. It's the rain here, so they're going to have really bad hit odds on top of it. But then, one of the other options, or one of the other good reasons to have a two-hander for the course of this run, is simply because it gets a massive accuracy bonus, and that's really nothing to scoff at. Like it, it's funny because that alone, like even if it didn't have the ridiculous power, would still put it into a contending category here. All right, so he's just gonna go ahead and smack that guy, except we're gonna get blocked. That sucks. Oh well. They're going to finish off the guests pretty soonish here. Again, rain, so sucky accuracy, so it'll just take him a minute. Mr. Vice is going to go ahead and get on out of here as he does. Get out of here, you douche! You will spend the next couple timelines running away. Anyway. So, funnily enough, even with that accuracy bonus, they can't hit Donalto for some reason. Oh well. Alright, so yeah, we're seeing about 10 to 20 out of these casters. I've got some healing items left. I didn't really restock, now that I think about it. So I'm probably just going to go take out the two frontline fighters that they've got, and yeah, they can do 9. So I should be able to last about 6 or 7 rounds here. As soon as the front ones start crumbling, the Moldova... Is that Moldova? Let me double check. Yeah, that's Moldova. They'll start retreating, at which point I'll just have to go chase them down. But the skeletons are really the only thing that can be threatening here. The casters don't seem like they'll be doing very much, and we can just heal out of that. So I want to finish off those two just looking for Emperor cards. So there's no Constitution, which seems really weird, but yeah. I mean, I guess technically it's like a monarchy or whatever, so they probably wouldn't have a Constitution. But no, there's no Constitution in OV. The Constitution skill, that is, so that's like 200 less health than that run on top of everything else. But Emperor cards still work, so we can get an extra 100 health at least. Granted, that was available for that run too, but we can get extra health from the beefier armor, so we'll still wind up with some relative simile of what we were looking at there. So, alright, they're going to keep going, they're going to keep winning these rolls, unfortunately. Not really too much to be done about that. Actually, I'm a little bit surprised that they're deciding not to finish off Donalto here. Did we just discover another mercy feature of this game? Because I think it's very likely. They do have a lot of mercy features. Like, sometimes they will just plain not attack you just to be nice. This is going to be doing wonders for proficiency, though, so that's nice. Anyway, Donalto had his turn. He goes dead now. More than likely, what it's going to be is it's probably something similar to what the Soul series did, in which, depending on... Actually, wait, was it the Soul series, or am I thinking... Was it... I don't know. I think it was the Soul series as well as some other ones that will specifically only allow a certain amount of enemies to attack you at once, while the others just kind of hang out in the background. Because yeah, no, with Souls you do get swarmed quite a bit, but they do sometimes just sit there. I might be thinking of Elder Scrolls, maybe. Not sure. Some RPG of some description. Not really sure why. I can't really think of it at the moment. But anyway, what did they drop? Nothing. Alright, let's see if we can finish off this one with a rock. But yeah, I'm mostly just looking for those cards. Yes, that's low odds to hit, but it's worth a shot. Probably just stick here. It's a pretty okay position. I can't really do anything about these skeletons yet. Actually, that's probably going to be the next skill that I pick up. So Field Alch 1. Because we're going to... you might be thinking that there's no way to deal with exorcisms in this run, and there's actually 2. So the first thing that we're going to get is Holy Waters. You can just pick them suckers up at the store. Relatively simple to deal with. The second one, though, is going to be... is the one that got me excited about routing in the WKs for this. Just because... okay, it's one of the unique abilities that they get, in which they exercise any kind of like skeleton, zombie, whatever else. They exercise them on the spot, plus get haste out of it, or they get hastened. They just get fast. Okay, they get really, really excited over getting rid of that zombie. So it's good stuff. It's good stuff. Now, looking at how things are going, I think the odds are okay of us making it to rank 2. Depends. Now, yeah, Paralytic Wave there is another one that's been beefed up in this version. So Paralytic Wave now does stagger, so that's really bad in this case, because now the melee units will start hitting. Boo. Just smacked me telepathically with a dang book. Rude. It might look a little goofy, but I still love that they do that. Dang it. Forgot to turn the safety off on my coffee, which is surprisingly a thing. Delicious eggnog coffee. Just got some eggnog yesterday. Was all excited, because it's that time of year. Alright, yeah, I've got 5. Okay. That's doable. I mean, I guess I probably should, reasonably speaking here, stick around a little bit. But with that stagger hitting, I I kind of want to not do that. I think it's a locked percentage chance for the secondary effect to hit, though. But yeah, the skeletons will be a little bit annoying. And if they get reanimated, that's perfectly fine. Better not hit that slow. Oh, you terrible, terrible person. Okay. That's fine. I guess we're just going to be sitting here and countering forever then. Probably take that route down the right there. Seems like the best way to go about this. Now, I don't know when I'm going to start actually putting these ones live. There's a very reasonable possibility that I'm probably just going to start doing that within the next few days. Not... Guess it's kind of hard to know whether that's dating these or not. Not that that really matters anyway. But yeah, reason being that, honestly, it's just taking forever with the vanilla run. It's taking so friggin' long to actually get those edited and out. So hopefully somebody responds to me as far as whether or not they're okay with it being hack and slash down to like 3 or 4 more parts. Because really the end of it is just like... Vroom! just one big rush to the end. And that rush... man, that rush lasted for weeks. That gives you an idea. But we'll see. We'll see. Don't exactly want to be lame about it, but also don't want to put up both at the same time, so... Who knows... Alright, I think we're safe to take around here. I think I'm being stingy with resources, but that's mostly because that had a very decent chance of taking that one out. Which means, actually, is that giving them enough space? Animate's got 7. Okay, let's see. Yeah, okay, so they're probably going to move there and use animate. That works. Basically what I want to do is just cause them to try to want to get close. So they've got 0% chance of paralyze. Stagger has who knows what odds to hit. Probably technically should have been 0. And it really technically should be going for more proficiencies and whatever else, but I think we'll be okay for the moment. Again, we have until Chapter 1. We're going to get a lot of advantages as time goes on, but it's going to have little breakpoints here and there. Like, for example, the, what's his face, the Nibith fight is just not going to happen. Even with, I think it was like a 12-level advantage, there's just so much that comes at you there that you just kind of get stuck in a slog forever. Now, let's see how we're doing on proficiencies here. Yeah, 57, you know, we'll be fine. We're perfectly fine there. So they'll take a few snipes, as they do. So as long as that guy doesn't crit, we should be perfectly fine. Because the archers don't even seem to want to fire. Alright, so we'll go here. We'll probably take 2 more hits from this, still be able to survive, and... yeah, I think we're actually still going to need to take the heal. Because I was expecting that to do 100. Miss, please. Thank you. Good job. Congratulations on your missing. They're going to go ahead and block, get a little bit more proficiency out of that. They're going to do that. Thankfully, miss as well. How you miss with water in a rainstorm is anyone's guess, but fine. That guy decided not to attack. A lot of the times, the AI seems a lot more willing to conserve its points when it knows that it can't hit. So it doesn't always act dumb. Okay, maybe we don't need the heal. Okay, we are definitely going to need the heal. That didn't go well at all. Block, cut, etc. So, if you didn't know, because KOs count, well, seem to count for extra points, usually you can just surround yourself with skeletons and knock them down over and over, and there's actually one particular map that's really good for it. That's the swamp map where you save Aracel. Really? Okay, well, that's not great. Come on, don't make me waste items. I mean, granted, that 150 that it actually costs to get another one won't really be worth that much, but surely you can let that happen. All right, yeah, no, that was a solid move there. We can't make that jump. All right, fine. Their AI will probably compel them to move for no particular reason next round. Interestingly enough, there are some cases where the AI actually will lock itself and not move, but it's almost never defensive. Like, if they know that they've locked you into a tile where a unit completely can't move, they won't move. They will just sit there locked in place, and Hector in particular, I know, has the AI that does that. Oh, they're making good plays here, though. They know. They're going for that checkmate. I mean, they can't really do it, but still. Yeah, if we do that, they'll go for the animate. He'll be back up. That's fine. We'll accidentally stick around and do more. There we go. She'll come back full. I can't tell. I'm no bone expert. Guess we know what Denim has been doing in his spare time here. Taking all his time powers to learn all about bones, to know the differences between a male and female skeleton, I guess. Or maybe just everybody knows that here. Actually, we might be soft lock it if... Hang on, do I have... Oh, no. Well, that ain't great. Okay, I was looking for one of the ones that give you hover. Because while you don't have warp in your cards anymore, you do have hover, which honestly does the job a lot better, and it seems a lot less why did they put this here. This is bad, though. Because the AI does love doing this kind of stuff, so, if we're locked in place, we're locked in place. Please move. Because there's no way I can hit them hard enough to make them just disappear. Okay, tell you what. We'll put up a Fortify, see if that changes their mind at all. And try facing this way. Because they might suddenly decide it's not worth it. So it's one of many things to keep in mind during this run. Because you can get yourself stuck in some very interesting ways. And this is not one that I was expecting to hear about now. Alright, blocked, knocked down. Probably if I knock them into crit, they might be a bit more willing to move. But well played. It just goes to show you that's what the AI does when when it's not just running around doing nothing. So if for the few folks that have asked if OV has improved AI, no, the AI just has less to think about. Alright, so they're in crit. Are they going to move? No. Whoa. Uh-oh. That's not great. Yeah, I think it might be safe to say this particular one's soft-locked. Then again, you know what? Hang on, thinking. No, that's not going to work. I was thinking if we could get proficiency all the way up to level 6. But yeah, no, that's not going to work. Okay, so this one's soft-locked. So let's go ahead and do that all again, as you do. Except this time we're just going to charge forward. I'm not going to spend forever trying to make that happen. Alright. Oh, and we never saved after that fight. Oh, beautiful. Okay, well, whatever, let's bum rush this thing. Nope, how did we do this last time? Alright. Equipment. Unequip all, unequip all. Skills, goodbye, goodbye. And let's do some speed runs. Ah, boy. Interesting problems to have. Okay. Alright, so we move all you guys up here, as we did before. Then we just kind of fight randos up until it's time to go. Then again, I could probably just go for friendly fire there to get some of those points up. Might be an idea. Yeah, I definitely need to remember to save after every single little thing. You'd think that'd be ingrained in me after, like, 4 runs of this now, but oh well. So, by the way, right there, where Chariot unlocks, I think I mentioned this before, but yeah, if you end up skipping it entirely, Like if you end up using cheats to skip all the way to the end of this fight, like you just have somebody warp to the front and one-shot Orba there, Chariot never gets unlocked. So if you're ever looking for a way to absolutely guarantee that you never use her on accident, there you go. Just use the infinite turn cheat to just run up and shank the guy. Alright, so we're going to move all these randos into a little cluster here. Gonna have some coffee. Delicious coffee. Oh yeah, so I was mentioning earlier, like how on earth do you have safety on a coffee? So, my wife found these awesome coffee mugs yesterday that they apparently had on sale, and yeah, they literally just have like a little trigger with a little little safety catch on there for making sure that you don't accidentally have it free in your bag. Oh, so that's been interesting. I have no idea which direction is which, so I keep just flicking the thing back and forth. So hopefully it won't break very quick. But hey, forgetful people are going to be forgetful, you know? Hopefully everyone else's pre-Christmas preparations are going well. We already got our tree up in November. So wait's done. Oh, crap. Didn't mean to do that. Gonna have to check if that counts as a usage. Actually, wait, I didn't even hit the button, so how the hell did that... Ah, whatever. We'll check after this fight. If it did count as a usage, we're just gonna... I think I'm just gonna... I don't know what I'm gonna do. Probably just redo it again. It only takes a couple minutes, so... At least these ones are short. You don't get some of these ones that we're gonna be seeing later where it's like a friggin' 2-hour fight, so... Yeah, get ready for a long one. This one's probably going to take at least months. It's going to be that long of a thing. Probably going to be seeing some fights that are literally 3 parts long, so be ready. Be ready. And you know, once we get to the point where maybe the hiatus is over and I can get back to life as normal, I'll probably just start doing the old streamy stuff again. So we'll do that. Alright, so they're going to get finished off good. Anyone want to drop one of those cards? Got really lucky with that extra health card last time. That's depressing. It's always the ones that you get the good cards that randomly get screwed over in some way. Every single time, I kid you not. It's like the game knows. It's like I gave you one mercy. Yeah, death card, fantastic. I'm not going to take that. Because that's another rule of this run, never step on a tile with a death card. Like, sure, you might get a luck up, but more than likely you're going to get a luck down, and that is basically just soft-locked at that point. I don't know how exactly a lot of the luck mechanics work. Nobody does. But the thing is that, yeah, it's definitely one of those cases where if you pick up one of those cards at a bad time... I don't think daily luck resets it enough to offset one of those natural luck type situations. Maybe it does, I don't know, but even after a hell of a lot of testing, I have no idea for sure. But I've seen a lot of cases where it's like they're saying that they're having a fantastic day, and then just repeatedly getting hit by stuff left and right, just taking 25% like it's nobody's business. And thankfully, one thing that we're not gonna have to worry about, well, I would say not worry about as much, but it's more like there's one thing that absolutely sucked last time that won't suck as much this time, and that would be golems. Mostly just because they can get taken care of before anything even happens. Usually, anyway. With good routing, they can be taken care of earlier, which I guess technically they could have been last time too, just because the whole low health thing, but just didn't end up happening. Right, there we go. He's gone, because Genius decided to get himself counter hit. Pick up one of these for no particular reason, because I think one of them has a plume in it. We might have missed out on that early plume, but oh well. And yeah, kind of comparing this particular route with how I did it the first 2 times. That Hawberk makes a huge difference. He would have been taking about 30 to 40 from each fireball here without it. Like, it, especially early on, it is significant. It is really significant. Later on, not later on, it's actually still just as significant. Like, the final build that I end up running for a good chunk of it is going to be the Dynamo armor, Worm Helm, and an Elemental two-hander. Just because it's that friggin' strong. Like, it's just so much strength that's stacked up on there and so much defense. Well, crap. It did count as a usage. Question is, do I have a save state from before I saved like an absolute doofus? What the hell just happened? Okay, my computer just went dim and stopped responding for a second there. Hang on. Let's see what we have on hand. Part 2 already ruined the run. Alright, let's load the state here. Is this that run? Is this the correct one? Yes, okay. Okay, who wants to see Tynemouth for a third time? Oh boy, oh boy. Oh man, I apologize for that. This is a special brand of screwy. Because that should not have happened, but you know what? I promised to leave every part in for this one, so here we are. Folks asked for it for some reason. Unless it gets even more ridiculous than this. I'm just going to count it at 3. Like, if anything takes more than 3 tries, I'm just going to cut it out. But, anyway. Same plan as you do. I promise most of these do not take 3 tries, especially not for reasons as dumb as my controller decided to act up. But, oh well. So I'll pop you right there. They're going to charge forward. I'm going to cluster up everybody in the middle, then everybody's all nice and close. Do I have a fast forward button? No, I disabled that for this run. Good to know. I'm almost tempted to disable the L1 button so that doesn't happen again. Because yeah, usually I end up having my my hand on the L2. This is kind of a natural resting position there. Probably shouldn't have moved him that many tiles forward. That's fine. Shouldn't take too much time. I say as we have spent 37 minutes on the first friggin' official fight of the run. Sorry. Sorry. Plus side, we get to discuss a lot of the more intricate mechanics. Like, for example, right there, showing off that crits can't push somebody uphill. We saw earlier that luck seems to be absolutely mysterious. So, I don't know. But yeah, two-handers. Definitely the way to go here. If we had a hammer, hammer accuracy this early on was about 60 to 70, depending on where you were attacking from. Those were your decent odds. Axes are kind of a nice happy medium. They don't run into the 2H problem of getting reduced damage from armor as much. But like hammers will see almost no effect from armor. Hammers are kind of 50-50. Two-handers do get reduced effect from heavier armors and stuff like that. I shouldn't say no effect, but again, it comparatively limited on hammers and axes. But then when it comes to actually, no, I should add another caveat on that, because that's under normal circumstances. Like if you end up, for example, they end up getting affected more by Fortify, just because most of their stuff's getting past armor. But either way, this is all situational type stuff. Generally speaking, hammers go through armor real good. They've got a bunch of really good moves, but they don't have a damage scaling AoE. At least not one as good as Grand Cross. So I'm going to move him... Actually, no, I'm going to move him here to pick up that bag, just in case it has anything useful. Sometimes they have buff items for these early fights. Anyhow, so yeah, with axes, they've got some of the cooler moves in terms of just general utility and stuff like that. Like they've got one, the Fault Line, I think it was called, that basically hits 8 tiles in front of you and that kind of thing, which, again, you'd think would be really useful for a solo, but no. It just doesn't have the oomph. Like, if there's going to be an AoE, it's got to be able to take out a couple dudes if it's going to be useful in a solo. Because general utility does not matter as much as just removing units. So, that's going to be a running theme throughout this whole one. Actually, as far as roadblocks for Chapter 1 here, this is a very unusual one. that we got here, but we can definitely expect to see a potential roadblock with Gamp. Sometimes it's easier, but a lot of times he does end up pulling some tricks out of his sleeve. The knight that's after Sistina is usually a bit of a annoyance. But then that's really about it. There really are not many roadblocks for Chapter 1 past this point. The first fight can be kind of annoying. Switching over to two-handers really mitigated Gamp as far as being a roadblock goes, because with axes and hammers, like, you basically need rank 3 or 4 to be able to even hit them. Then again, that was also on earlier patches when I was setting that up. So if you didn't know, Griffins especially were extremely evasive a couple patches ago. They were kind of brought down to earth recently, though they still evade really well. But two-handers are definitely the best bet for hitting them. They're on average, about 20% more accurate than the other two. So that's pretty darn handy. I think they still see about 70 to 80 as far as hitting them, but still. At least that's before proficiencies get any good. But still, pretty useful. Pretty darn useful. Okay, is he finally... Nope, he is just hanging in there. He is not having it. He's like, look, I see what's going on. I see you're trying to get me killed off here, but not standing for this. It's like, yeah, we don't even feel like it anymore. Just go for denim. No, you just sit there. See how long... Wow, they won't even attack him now. Awesome. Just awesome. I love when this kind of random crap happens, because the game doesn't know what to do. It's just trying to be nice. It's like, we see he's in critical, we see that you're trying to... Or you're at least supposed to be trying to protect him. Is he gonna go for the shield? Yeah. It's like, he's just trying his hardest to be nice here. It's like, I'm sorry, I don't know how else to show that I'm at least doing something. Gotta at least put on a show. Swing. Alright. Is the other archer gonna finish him? I'm gonna have to finish off Canopus, aren't I? Yeah. He's literally preferring to take 1 damage. Alright. Screw it. Dead. There we go. Problem solved. Sometimes you gotta make the AI think for itself. So there we go. He's done. This time, remember not to save over a controller glitch. But yeah, so it seems the only time that that Chariot actually triggers is if you select another turn, even if you make no actual different movements. I'm pretty sure there's a way around that, but I don't know what it is. It's just basically as soon as it ends up deciding to kind of put up a new save state for you, because it saves more or less multiple save states in a tree when you're using Chariot. But anyhow, alright, what did we get? I think that's Dex, isn't it? Either Dex or Mind. Or none of them. It was Agility! See, that's totally the one I said. Though, that's handy. Agility will make a big difference. Even a couple points in Agility can really make a big difference. Like, that's the funny part about this mod. If you get maybe... those first 5 to 10 points, you get a pretty major difference on your stats. Or at least you start seeing the difference a lot more, but then once you max out, it more or less just becomes a force multiplier. But it's a really, really slow one, you know, if that makes sense. So, realistically, we could take a Tine-Mouth fight if we wanted to. Go save that right here. So, one good way to do Tine-Mouth earlier on, and I'm going to do this later, is you can actually change over to Berserker, and then basically everyone else spawns at level 2 there, so you have the same thing as from the very start. Did I save? Yes. Am I going to double save? Yes. But the thing is, yeah, with regards to Tine-Mouth there, they'll be at 2, their skills will always be at 1, so basically any proficiency that you get over them is going to make a big difference. And I believe when you come back in New Game, or New Game Plus, sorry, I believe they go up to proficiency 3? Something like that? Something not serious one way or another. Generally 3 is the low end for New Game Plus, so they're going to have a finisher, but they're not going to be, you know, particularly good with it or anything. So you can still come in and do a pretty good job. But the problem is, and what ends up kind of locking out Tine-Mouth for huge chunks of this run, is the fact that they end up coming in with stuff that can get past some of the basic armors. So if you're coming in with like mail or something like that, even if you have a better weapon, you're still just going to get completely ruined. It's just not enough to stop some of the ranged options they have, which, like, bows will still get through pretty decently as far as mail goes. Once you get up to Balder, it's going to be a bit better, but you need a full defensive set to kind of stand a reasonable chance. Once you get up to Worm Scale, you can actually start almost entirely ignoring the arrows that they're firing around. You can ignore most of the crossbows, but casters are still a problem. After a while, once you get augments up there, you can see some pretty good results out of blocking certain elements, though. Like Worm Scale in particular does a pretty solid job of keeping you safe. So I'm going to go ahead and try to slowly congregate everybody towards the middle here, as you do. Ooh, did they? Hang on. I gotta be seeing things. Kind of looked like they came in with Warblade somehow. They shouldn't have to level for that. I gotta be seeing things. Yeah, no, they just got the LS. It's fine. It's fine. Alright. Take a few easy swings. There we go, perfect. It's going to be a pretty decent idea here to actually weaken at least one of those. That way when we're getting chased down later, we can counter-finish off one of them. Don't end up getting soft-locked again. Now that I think about it, you know what? I'm dumb. I could have gotten out of that soft-lock by just throwing rocks. How did I not... brain, why? Why? There's going to be somebody writing that as a comment later. Dang it. Why, brain? Why didn't you think of one of the simplest things in the world? Ah, delicious coffee. Why didn't you make me think of that? Alright. He's gonna get crit, gonna get stunned. Oh well. Vice is still running up wondering why nobody can hurt him all of a sudden. Well, they can still do a pretty decent chunk of damage, I suppose. But yeah, at this point in vanilla, you'd basically be seeing damages of like 10. You wouldn't be seeing 50s flying around. So even at this point, the damage difference is... I mean, it's not as severe. Like, you can at least believe that maybe they're shrugging this stuff off. It doesn't get to the point where somebody's just sitting there, just like gigantic fireballs just bouncing off them like nothing. It's like, I'm sorry, I've gotten... My stats have gotten so good, physics don't apply to me. I just trained as all these different jobs, and somehow that didn't result in me being unemployable, it resulted in me being invincible. Makes sense. Makes total sense. I know somebody's gonna be mad at me for killing off Canopus again. I always get angry messages every time that happens. People like them some Pirates of the Caribbean bird. Alright, let's get her finished off. There we go, perfect. Got the crit. Yeah, whenever it's possible to go heavy armor and gloves, it's very worth it. Just because the crits can be absolutely insane. So, another one of the nice selling points of the two-handers, their bonus damage is really high. And basically what that translates to is whenever they do damage, for everything that gets past armor, it gets multiplied a hell of a lot more. That's why they end up having problems, for example, with getting past armor in the first place, because they're in that position where their value for penetration is technically lower. A smaller amount gets through, and so their scaling doesn't matter as much. Whereas, for example, a hammer would have a higher attack value there. It would get through. It would have more consistent damage. But anyway, so however you can multiply whatever you get through ends up seeing a much higher number result, which is how by the time we get to chapter 4 they can potentially do up to like 1600 damage technically. So it takes a long time to get there, and no, it does not involve stack grinding. It's one of the reasons I love this run so much, because there's no actual like going around and collecting cards or any of that. I mean, yes, they help, but that's not going to be a primary focus at any point. Like, if a card drops, I'll pick it up. That's about it. It's not going to be the thing that makes a difference in most cases. Proficiencies, parries, augments, that kind of stuff will, and it turns up a lot better. Also, positioning and gear choices will make a massive difference as well. Like, for example, one of the reasons I ended up routing for neutral over law, because... Oh, whoops. Continue, please. Anyway, so one of the reasons I ended up routing for neutral over law there is simply because there's one chunk, that first fight with Hector, where you can go in with a big level bonus, but because of the types of units and the types of stuff going on there, you can't actually... yeah, that'll be fine. You can't actually... what's it? You're going to have a much harder time beating it without a Balder helmet. Which seems like a really, really super specific thing to have come up. So why does my phone keep going off? For reasons, apparently. Anyhow, so yeah, it is kind of a hyper-specific situation there, but yeah, the extra parry plus the slightly extra vit ends up literally winning that fight. It's strange, but it's just the thing that makes it happen. So if you don't end up if you end up doing that route on your very first run, you basically have to result on a random drop, which, I mean, in my testing routes, it was technically possible, but it just wasn't as smooth as doing it the other way. Not to mention there's an excuse to route in neutral, which is always fun. So yeah. And if you're thinking like, oh wait, but that'll mean the second route is pretty much entirely locked into New Game Plus, and yeah, it will be. It's... there's going to be some shenanigans. A lot of shenanigans. Very many shenanigans. And just in case I end up forgetting it later, one of the biggest shenanigans is the fact that the game does not scale itself up to 50, except for very certain situations. So, we're essentially going to be maximizing the number of breakpoints that are available, wherein we can just kind of charge ahead in very particular spots. So, for example, once you get up to about, give or take, 20 to 28, you more or less have about 10 fights between a couple classes to just do whatever the hell you want at that point. So Chapter 3 has that massive area of breathing room, and during that time you can more or less max out your augments, you can do whatever you want, and if you, for example, pick up a weapon that you have an aug for at that time, you can completely max it out. And you might be saying, well, what about the Dragoon and Instills? And yes, I end up using those to end up getting about rank 2 or 3 in Chapter 3. But oh my friggin' goodness, is it slow. You can sit there getting whacked over and over and over, just using those Instills, and it takes absolutely ages. The finishers end up giving about 2% per use, but it's about, give or take, 0.7%, I think it was, per swing with Instills. So it's about about as bad as you'd expect, really. Wasn't ideal, let's put it that way. Let's go here. It's probably going to give the best odds of actually getting a swing off. My phone's going off a million times. Hello, Mr. Vale. How's it going with you today? And, by the way, as far as all these runs go, since I always have to bring up the hiatus, still ongoing. Still ongoing for the potential future, but I'll probably end up just continuing on some of the ones that I've been doing before in this kind of format. So okay, we're not going to get as much proficiency out of it this time, but you know what, there we go, there's part 2 done. A bit more of an adventure than I was expecting, but soft locks will happen. And there we go, picked up Living Corpse. Not going to end up using it. Just going to end up sound that pretty much immediately. And there we go, we get some new units. Funnily enough... Oh, you know what, I totally need to show that off next time. Anyway, yeah, Felicia's here. She's going to do her Felicia thing. Hello. Wait, no, I didn't mean to hire you. No, go away. Aww, big sads. Sorry, Felicia, I know. Felicia's awesome, but no Felicia this time. And Sarah just gets specifically pulled aside to get fired better. Sorry. Alright, now... Yeah, Childy up to 13. You know what? Yeah, his build's weird. Those couple points of Vit would have been really nice. Alright, can we pick up Field Elk? Yes. So this will make a massive difference. Even if we have to move some stuff out of the way. So at this point, we're actually going to go back. We're not going to even try with a Nibith. It's just not really going to be worth it. So we got the Warblade at this point. As you can see, just kind of showing what's available at the store for now. So we can get past the next fight, no problem, but then after that we will need Healing Seeds. And yeah, access to those is going to be a bit of a thing. So okay, first of all, are they actually in the shop yet? No. So we're going to go ahead and pick up, let's say, 25 more of these, and hopefully that'll be all we end up needing, because we end up finding plenty along the way. Arion Plumes. I always wanted to call these Arion Plumes, but I don't know how you pronounce this exactly. But we're going to go ahead and pick up 30 of those for now. Fortify, surprisingly, doesn't make too much of a difference in this run, but Dodge. Dodge is a big one. Then 5 of these. And occasionally we're going to need Resilience. It hasn't mattered as much as I really was expecting it to. There we go. And then the last thing we need is some drinks, because we got to get people drunk to hit them really good. So there we go. That'll do that. Let me double check if there's actually any class marks to pick up here. No, there won't be. Once we get back from the northern part, that's when we'll go ahead and pick up one of those. Now, this one has gone a little bit long, but do I want to go for the next one? No, we'll do the next one next time. So, yeah, skill-wise, we're at 63 here. Goal is to have at least rank 2 by the time we finish up all this. More than likely, it's going to be rank 2 done by the time we finish Gold Borza. Probably a good way on to rank 3 by the time we finish Rhyme, because that one has a lot of back and forth. And then yeah, we'll be... it should hopefully be by rank... doing Gamp by rank 4. Should be pretty well solid. So anyway, we'll call it there. Have an awesome one, and take care.